3.
Hola, ¿qué tal amigos? Bienvenidos a Science y Fierros, el podcast en donde hablaremos de entrenamiento, culturismo, nutrición, siempre desde una perspectiva crítica, integral y evolutiva. Yo soy San y estoy muy contenta como cada episodio de estar aquí con Laura Placeres. Hola Lau, ¿cómo estás?
Hola San, muy bien. Ha sido un día largo. Estoy aquí, bueno, he tenido algunos descansos, pero he estado aquí en mi gimnasio oficina desde ya casi unas 12 horas.
Tempranito.
Pero por un buen motivo. En la mañana tuvimos un workshop ahí con Kevin y con Jorge Yuk para MPS. Luego, pues ya sabes, trabajo de escritorio, de revisiones.
Sí.
Por ahí también tú y yo tuvimos oportunidad de intercambiar algunos mensajillos, platicar ahorita antes de la grabación como estamos tratando de hacer de un ritual y algo que disfruto muchísimo. Y pues ahora preparándonos para grabar este episodio que sin duda va a ser un episodio de lujo para recordar, de esos que si pudiéramos fijar ahí en YouTube para que queden ahí siempre en la mira. Creo que así sería. ¿Tú qué tal? ¿Tú cómo estás?
Claro, claro, yo también opino lo mismo que tú, es uno de estos episodios gold que tienen que estar viendo, escuchando también y seguramente habrá muchísimos pilares que ahí van a tener que repetir una y otra vez, así que los invitamos a, si ustedes quieren saber un poquito más de culturismo, pero también de cómo podemos encaminar esta práctica tan hermosa con el mindfulness, la atención plena y bueno, un campo mucho más abierto que solamente focalizar en una competencia, créanme que este episodio va a ser para ustedes, va a ser de mucho valor porque tenemos a un gran atleta que ya estarás presentando, Milau, y de hecho aprovecho para decirles que precisamente este episodio va a ser un poquito diferente, va a ser como los episodios anteriores que hemos tenido en inglés, es un atleta internacional que la verdad vale mucho la pena escuchar. Si ustedes gustan, también pueden activar el traductor en YouTube. Ahí pueden ver la traducción, los subtítulos, perdón, pueden ver los subtítulos para que se queden de principio a fin, porque va a ser de mucho valor. Y antes de comenzar, Milau, me gustaría también hacer un pequeño anuncio, pues, sobre nuestras asesorías. No sé si te gustaría decir algo al respecto. Sé que está ahorita todavía el curso disponible de hipertrofia avanzada, pero no sé si todavía se pueden inscribir, si nos podrías hablar un poquito de esto.
Así es, pues sí tenemos todavía el curso de hipertrofia avanzada, apenas vamos en la segunda clase y es un curso que va a durar hasta marzo. Entonces, todas las clases, todo el material, las diapositivas, las referencias están quedando en la plataforma de Muscle Mind. Así que de verdad vale muchísimo la pena, o sea, no porque no hayan tenido acceso todavía o no hayan visto en vivo las primeras dos clases, no quiere decir que no van a tener acceso a ellas. Tienen además acceso al grupo en WhatsApp de soporte, donde pues la verdad creo que se ha hecho muy buena dinámica en las clases también. Ayer, Sant, que estuviste, creo que pues también tuviste ahí algunas participaciones como siempre muy interesantes. Entonces, pues sí, ahí está abierta la puerta. Pueden contactarme a mí, al doctor Juan Jerezano o a Daniel Álvarez para más informes.
Exacto. Bueno, Milau, entonces, sin más preámbulos, ahora sí te dejo con nuestro gran invitado para que puedas deleitar a toda nuestra audiencia. Muchísimas gracias también a todos los que se están quedando hasta ahora y los invitamos, como dije ya, a quedarse de principio a fin porque vale mucho la pena. Disfruten la sesión.
Muy bien. Bueno, para todos, esto es lo último que va a suceder en español. El día de hoy tenemos a el mismísimo Dirk Emmerich. Espero, I hope I'm saying it correctly. But well, Dirk, first of all, thank you again. I've said it a thousand of times now, I guess, but it's never enough. It's really a pleasure for both of us to have you here. I have many clients who follow you on your Instagram and look up to you, but for many things. One of them, the technique, the pristine technique you have. I know Berto, for example, always says, if you want to know how to execute X movement correctly, go ahead and look at Dirk's post. And now that you're back to YouTube, it's really one of my favorite things to watch prior training. But for those who maybe are a little bit lost, maybe they don't know who you are, if you could give us an introduction about yourself, who you are, and we can get started with that.
Okay, me llamo Dirk Emmerich. Soy de Alemania. That is it, what I can speak in Spanish.
You did it amazing. Amazing.
So yeah, I'm from Germany originally and living in Thailand, in Bangkok now for over 2 years. I'm training since 2012. I started in late 2012 when I was 17 years old. Now I'm 29 years old. So I'm, yeah, training now for, yeah, I think it's exactly now 12 years. Like it's a long time. I'm coached by Alberto Nunez, Team 3DMJ, same like you, since 2016. And this is almost now, next year, March, it will be 9 years working with Alberto. So that is like, yeah, such a long time. So 2 years training without a coach. I regret it a little bit in a way of like, I should have started even earlier. So everyone watching this, I would like, hey, like even after 6 months training, I would recommend hiring a coach as soon as possible. You will save a lot of time this way and a lot of like, yeah, trial and errors in a way. So yeah, I'm a WNBF Pro natural bodybuilder since 2021. There I did my first season. I won my WNBF Pro card at Worlds in Las Vegas. And last year I did my pro debut where I won the WNBF Pro Lightweight World Champion title. And this year I'm at it again. So competing back to back, which will be very exciting. 6 weeks out now for my first show in Dubai. And that is so far, I would say, yeah, a brief introduction. Yeah.
That's great, Dirk. And as you said, you've been training for quite a while. I think that's something important to mention because many people, I think, really rush into competing when they probably haven't invested at least some years practicing not only the training but also the nutrition, learning from someone who has more experience. As you said, you've been working with Team 3DMJ for 9 years, almost 9 years. So talk about investing time in a relationship and in education, because and maybe we can touch on that later, but I'm sure the influence Team 3DMJ and Berto has had on you, it's not only in terms of Dirk as an athlete, but also Dirk as a coach. So yeah, definitely I agree with you that it's really an investment, not an expense, especially if you really like this and you want to be here for the long run. And now Dirk, touching on Team 3DMJ, and we all know how big they are in the world of natural bodybuilding. Why did you choose to hire Team 3DMJ and to hire Berto? And also, how did the first thought of competing came to you? Because you trained for quite a while before getting into the stage for the first time.
Yes, so when it comes to Team 3DMJ, that was the resource where I got the majority of my information back in the days, where like usually the first year training is like, it's such a roller coaster, especially back in 2012, 13, where there wasn't a lot of good information out there. So it was very hard to differentiate it between, okay, what is good information, what isn't. And when I found Team 3DMJ, watched the YouTube videos, all of that, I was like, wow, I saw better results within my training. I saw like, and all those things make a lot of sense in a way. So I applied all their, yeah, like free tips they provided on YouTube when it comes to training and nutrition. And I saw, oh, wow, like I got a little bit out of my plateau. I like made better progress. So I consumed a lot of their content, and then I was like at some point like still reaching a point where I was like, on my own it's still like not going exactly how I wanted to go. And then I saw like, hey, they like offering coaching service, and that is how I got into it, because I already saw good results with like all the free stuff. And then I was like, yeah, but it's still like on my own, I can't fully get there. And then I was like watching Alberto also on YouTube, and back in the days in like 2012-ish, he was like one of those guys who like the most shredded guys out there. And I was always so impressed by his conditioning, by the way he did his training. He was always someone who did things different than the norm. And I was very impressed by that. And that was why I really wanted to get coached by him. He was like always as like a kind of inspiration for me. And then being able to get coached by him was like, wow, it dream come true in a way. And yeah, like this was the main thing how I got into Team 3DMJ coaching with Alberto. And what was the second question again?
Yeah, well, you answered both of them. Why Team 3DMJ, and um, how did the idea of competing came to you for the
Oh,
first time?
yeah,
Yeah,
when it comes to
the other
competing,
part.
that is another thing why I waited 9 years before I stepped on stage. And the main reason for that was like no, reason what some people might have as well is why I never felt ready enough. I was always like, and I always like, if I step on stage, I want to win. I want to do good. I don't just want to participate. I was always like, hey, if I compete, I want to be extremely good. So it was maybe also a little bit of insecurity in a way of like, oh, I never felt ready. I never like a little bit of a perfectionistic mindset. What was holding me a little back, but then in hindsight, it was probably a good thing that I spend a majority of time just growing in the off season. I did like a few successful fat loss phases before, so that is also why on my first prep I got very like respectable conditioning levels, just because I technically did some trial preps before without stepping on stage, so my skill set was quite evolved at this time. And from day one, I knew I wanted to compete. Like I was like, that is a major why I'm doing it. And I believe like to, let's say like push through those, very hard, like or get to that very advanced levels. Like the why needs to be very big. And I do believe for a lot of people, like having competition goals, this can be a major why of like, because at some point you put so much in and you get so little out in return if you don't have a big why you are doing it. Like I at this point I wouldn't like try to grow more muscle if I wouldn't compete. I would like when it comes to like physique, I'm happy how I look in a way. Like it is like from an aesthetic perspective. So it's now like just like because I enjoy competing so much, that is like my major why I like still want to also like make more progress in a way. So yeah, that is like the main thing I would say. Yeah.
I think that's interesting because many people could thought that you, as you said, you were gonna say like something like for not to say that that's not part of the reason, but for I don't know, like personal development of or putting myself in a stressful situation and learn from that. But you were very honest and saying you waited so long also because you wanted to win and to be not only to belong to the stage but to be competitive, and also probably having Berto as a coach maybe from that sense also plays like a big role because you said Berto is a really good not only coach but also an athlete, and it's well known for the conditioning he can achieve. um, so yeah, I can definitely see that, and I think I haven't competed yet, but talking to Berto, that's one of my goals. Well,
Yes.
I also come from a sports background, and I'm like you in that sense that if I want to, I don't want to just participate, and I really want
Yes.
to make some noise. And even if I haven't competed yet, I've been training for quite a while, so I know this this lifestyle and everything that comes that involves training. I really love, I really enjoy. So I think that's also another good reason to compete. And as you said, you have to have a big why so you can keep doing it even if if you say if you think in financial returns, it's probably not the way to go. That's the reason many of the best many of the best genetics aren't probably in natural bodybuilding, because there's not that retirement in that sense. And now, one thing that you said recently, and that's gonna be like one question a little bit different from the other ones that we have prepared, that are more in this in a more subjective terms. But you said something in one of your reels. No, it was on your on this group you have where you're showing your progress almost day by day, like this private group in Instagram.
Oh yeah, the broadcast channel. Yeah.
Yeah. And you were showing your progress pictures and saying something along those lines, that you weren't saying like big drops in the scale, but visually you were looking better, and that for you it's a better form of progress rather than seeing the scale drop fast and not looking visually any different or any linear. So can you expand a little bit more about that, and specifically how do you go about making decisions, because maybe you don't do any adjustment, but making decisions during prep, especially at these stages that you're really close to your first competition, when the scale isn't moving at the predicted rate. If you can expand of that, I'd really like to know more about it.
Yes, like when it comes to the scale, there's like so much variables that play a role. Like a thing what often gets mistaken at is like the scale. People tend to think, oh, scale is just body fat. Like if the scale goes up or down or stays, just body fat. And like this, need to remember, like there's so much things within the body. It can be food volume, it can be water balance, it can be so much things. And especially when like going into a diet, like more often than not, when let's say introducing some more vegetables. That's what I just recently did. Again, like having a little bit more fiber, more vegetables, and logically the weight won't go down as much, but I probably lost like a good bunch of body fat, and just like having more food volume, more gut volume, like is masking it in a way. So always knowing the context. And I know, like, let's say for myself, if like the scale is not going down for like 2 or 3 weeks, while I keep everything the same, like my sleep pattern is the same, my like the foods I eat, the amount of meals I have per day, the calories, then I would make an adjustment. But if like some variables change, I always know, okay, it's not going down because I just eat more. And that is like the main thing. And then looking at the physique, like you also say, it's like the visual changes. When you see you looking visually leaner, it means you lost body fat, and there's just something what is like keeping the body weight a little bit more up. So just knowing always, like, yeah, within the context, and especially if, like, the visuals, they make changes for me, I usually won't ever change anything. And also now having the experience, let's say from last prep especially, and the first prep, I have like an exact same amount of steps every day, activity level, the same amount of calories. And with this amount of calories, I got to about 3% body fat last year. So I know this year it will be the same. So I don't stress out if the scale is not moving, because like I just know when I eat this around the same amount, have the same expenditure, there isn't a way that like I won't be in a deficit. So this gives you, the more often you compete, also a lot of confidence, and like you worry way less about like the scale. I just step on it every morning and like, okay, just some data, I put it in, and I'm not at all like emotionally attached to it in a way.
Yeah, I think those are really great points, because that can be tricky, as you said, especially if you haven't gone through any contest prep, because we know that's
Yes. Yeah.
a completely different animal in very in different aspects, the duration, the condition you're striving for. But also maybe if you haven't done enough fat loss phases, you don't know what to expect. But as you said, if you have gone through that process other times before, and you know, and you're being honest with what you're putting in, then you know maybe it's just a matter of time of for the scale to reflect what the visuals are already showing. But I could tell probably for people that are less experienced, even knowing, because as coaches, for example, myself, I know those things like more fiber or maybe a later dinner or less hours of sleep can impact. But you know, like sometimes when we're analyzing our own data, we can be maybe a little bit more like some of our clients are, and not being as objective. So again, another reason for having a third party to help you with that.
Yeah.
And you also said something during this one, was in one of your latest videos that really caught my attention, and you were saying how one of your goals during this prep was to be more friendly with the people at the gym, not because you're a grumpy person or anything like that, but because when you're that deep into a prep, without being conscious maybe about it, you want to conserve, or your body wants to conserve all the energy possible, and maybe you find yourself talking less to people and trying to avoid conversations in the gym, and you notice that on your last prep, and that's something you're really paying attention to. So I found that really really interesting, because you didn't say anything like, oh, I want to, and I know that's also maybe a goal, right, to be maybe to come on leaner or to show the growth improvements you made during your off season. But I think that's really valuable, because then it comes the personal and human part that you can still bring during a prep. That can be the time when we are, or a fat loss again, when you are maybe like the most robotic in a sense.
Yes.
So I was wondering if for your post show you have something different, something that you want to do different than your last post show.
Exactly. So when it comes to that, like the funny thing I tell you is like those personal things, like it's first sounds like, hey, like I want to come in leaner, I want to come in more like keeping even more muscle on my frame, and those things actually help with that. That is like one of those things, and a lot of people don't realize that, of like how stressful it can be of like going into that hyper focus mode within the gym. Like my first prep, it was the worst. The second prep, it was better, and this prep, I really want to work on that in a way of like, as I said on the wheel, it's like we don't become unfriendly, we become like easily unapproachable. That is the right word. Where it's like you go to the gym, you don't look at anyone, you do your thing, and you want to seem like you want to give an energy out of like, don't talk to me, like this way. And what I figured out is like, this makes me even more stressful. It's like, oh, I go into the gym and like unconsciously worrying, oh, is this person there, or is this person talking to me today? And it's like, oh, this creates a stress in a way of like an anxiety, I would say. And by really just like trying to still like say hello, like having some small talks, things like that, but still having boundaries, obviously, in a way of like, you don't want to like talk 10 minutes with someone, and like this can also be training, like communicating to someone, hey, you're right now 2 weeks out and you are quite low energy, like you can't talk as much, like just like, and everyone will get that for sure. But like creating that shell of like this, and like is very stressful. So that is like one of the main things, and I think this will in hindsight will help to make the the contest prep less invasive, less stressful, and also the training, and then the end product will be even better. So that is always some things I focus on. And the more preps I do, I realize it's like so much about like stress management and like how we getting there and which way, and like having that those stress, like yeah, like stressful things as low as possible. That's really like just like in a very stress-free manner in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see the value in that. And ironically, sometimes when we strive to be like really on point with all these variables we know are gonna either help you or retract from our progress, for example, the sleep. It can also be a stress to try to every night, like we were talking about prior recording, go to bed at an exact time. And even maybe if you don't go to bed at that time, then you're stressed because of that, and then you have trouble getting asleep. And that's gonna affect you probably much more than just, okay, maybe I'm not gonna sleep 8 hours, I'm gonna sleep 7.5, or I'm gonna sleep 7. But going to bed with that mindset, it's probably gonna be better than trying to focus so much on what you did a little bit differently from what was optimal. So yeah, I can really see the value in that. In a sense, it's because you also want to be friendly, well, not friendly, but open to people. But we can also see it as a tactic or a strategy for bodybuilding, because at the end, as you said, it's a stress management. And one of the questions, I think, one of the best questions I think we have for you, and I hope you find it interesting as well, is how do you mentally handle or manage the subjectivity in bodybuilding? And what I mean by that is that we can have some days or some periods of time during prep or during a fat loss phase when we, despite what other people would think, we really don't like how we're seeing ourselves. Maybe we're feeling smaller, or maybe during an off season feeling softer. That can be dependent on the phase, and also how to 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 live and to deal with some unpleasant sensations as hunger or fatigue can be.
I would say when it comes to that, like subjectivity, it gets better over time. A coach definitely helps here as well. And like how I personally deal with that is like I definitely have some periods during a prep. It's more so at the beginning stages where I get like a little bit flat, body fat is a little higher. And one thing I do with that is like I just don't analyze it. I don't analyze my physique in the mirror. I just look at it, see where I am at. It's like, okay, it's like same with the scale. I look at it, I don't analyze it. Okay, that's it, boom, done. And the same with the physique. I look at it, I try to be very rational about it and don't analyze it. Like the thing is, like once we start analyzing it, then there comes like that feeling of I don't feel good enough, or in the off season I analyze, oh, I getting that body fat is getting too high, I don't feel good. And letting go of like that, yeah, analyzing it too much, this helps me so much. And I can definitely honestly say I don't like at this point during a prep or off season, I never have periods of like bad body image. I had it in the first few years of training where I was like, oh, I'm too small, my arms are too small, this part is too small. And this just came from like analyzing too much, comparing myself too much with others, and really letting go of that and focusing more so on the process of like, okay, I know that is a part of a process, accepting it, and I have my end goal in mind. So I know in order to get super lean, there will be periods where I will feel a little flat. or in the off season to maximize muscle gains, there will be periods of like having a little of a puffy face, things like that. And knowing that this is just temporary. It is just like, especially when it comes to a little higher body fat, having a little puffy face or a little more body fat than you would like to, it is just temporary. It's just like a few weeks, a few months, and it will get like, you will have like your leaner face again, all of that after time it's coming. So knowing it's just temporary, and it's the same thing with hunger. This I have the exact same thing mindset with like the extreme low energy which comes with perhaps the hormonal disbalances what comes with prep. So it means like what I often like to say is like within a contest prep, it's like it's sometimes as a roller coaster. It's like, especially when it comes with emotions, there will some days where you feel like very good, some days a little lower, and like that, and like knowing that it's again, it's just like not temporary. And sometimes I like to compare it with hey, like if you're a woman, like you have your period, that's, I think as men, they feel like that during a contest prep. Like for me, it's like I can have like honest like emotional roller coaster when I get very lean, where I feel like at times sometimes very low, then at times like very wow, very good. And more often I do it, I know, okay, that is normal, and it's just because hormonal changes. Like when you get super shredded, like your body is in a state of high alert at some point, and hormones like definitely go a little all over the place, and we want to minimize that in a way. But as good as we manage fatigue, sleep, training, all of that, like there will be hormonal changes no matter what. Like you can't be 3, 4, 5% body fat and feel amazing and have a very stable mood all the time, or like no high hunger levels. And knowing again that it's just like tempo, also with the hunger, it's just like that is part of the process. Like knowing that a lot of people who are doing even a fat loss phase the first time in their life, they're getting so shocked, like, oh, I feel hungry, like I don't want to feel that way. And knowing that is like, yeah, like that is what you signed up for. That is like part of the process of getting there. And that's why not everyone is doing it. Like there's always some side effects in a way, what we have to accept. And yeah, knowing that it is how it is right now, it won't get like, you can't like hack it or magically make it go away. You just need to accept it. And that is like how I like to see all of that. Yeah.
Everything that you're saying, I think it's really interesting. I find it difficult for me to see you in that stressful state, or to imagine you yeah, like having these roller coasters, because you seem like a very chill person. And every time someone mentions you in the podcast recently, there was this episode with Steve Hall and Brandon Kempter, I think
Oh,
that's,
yes, yes, yes.
yeah. And he was saying, yeah, Dirk is super chill and easy going, and I can definitely see that. But I also know that we all have those times or periods when yeah, we are not at our best, and as you said, trying to accept that as part of the process. In this case, in a contest prep, no one can run away from that, not even the world's WNBF lightweight champion, the one who gets too ready too soon, or how is
Really too
that?
early.
Wrong. Yeah. Well, so yeah, you can take it from someone who is really a professional in all of this, in dealing with all these stressors. And one thing that I have found you mention, or you say in many of your content, you mentioned the importance of having like these downtimes, or having these strategies for stress management. I think I might not be correct, but mindfulness and meditation are some of the practices that you do. So if that's the case, when did you start practicing it, and what benefits have you found for that when it comes to your bodybuilding?
Oh yeah, like when it comes to that, I'm like meditating every morning, like for 10-15 minutes since, wow, I think almost 15 years. So long. Like it became like such a habit routine. It does me so good. It sets like the tone for my day where I'm, yeah, like almost really every morning, like I'm doing it with an app like for 10-15 minutes, and it is amazing. And then when I feel a little higher stress than usual, I do it also before sleep or during the day. Like that is a straight strategy to manage stress, honestly. Like this is, it's so good, like because often the stress we do, it's all up here, so like so much is just up here. And by meditating, for instance, like I can see like, okay, like actually it's just like my mind is telling me something and I need to observe it more, and it's actually like, yeah, like not that bad in a way. So this can definitely help a lot. And then on top of that, I would say, yeah, like creating a lifestyle in a way of like knowing what are your limits, like not taking too much on your plate, and having a good, let's say, a good routine in a way. So it means like figuring out what sleep routine is the best, what time you should go roughly to bed because you have to work at this time, and things like that. So that is super important instead of just winging it. Like most people have no, like they go to sleep at any time and then they would need to wake up at like, hey, 6 a.m. They go to bed at like 1 or 2 a.m. Obviously, you will feel very bad the next day. So one of the main things here, like you need to manage in some way to get earlier to bed. And if it means like to skip out on an hour of Netflix or skipping out on this or that, you need to do it. And this in hindsight will make you feel tremendously better. So like having a good routine, and yeah, obviously like also like we as online coaches, we are quite privileged of like having even more flexibility in a way. So for me, for instance, like, hey, I can take as many clients on as I want to. And if I feel like, hey, that's too many, I just don't take more clients on. So I'm knowing my limits there as well. And also with like my routine, I can decide at what times I want to work, at what times I want to do my training. So that is like definitely a big privilege. And even though if you work like, let's say, a 9-to-5 job, I did that all the years before. My first contest prep, I worked like a usual job, and even there, it's like it's just a matter of like having a good routine, and that makes like the stress just comes up if you don't have a routine. I feel like if you just like wing it, or like, oh damn, I need to do this, oh how I get that in. And it's even the same with nutrition, having somewhat of a routine of like, okay, I have roughly that amount of meals per day instead of like just seeing what the day is getting me. And I think it looks different for every person. Like some people need to have it like all written down, having a to-do list. For me, like personally, like my way of doing it, like to-do lists, for instance, or having like a super robotic routine stresses me out. So I'm kind of like, I don't write anything down, but I have a routine in a way of like what is still a little flexible. So if I don't go to the gym at like, I don't know, like 10 a.m., isn't bad if I go at 12 p.m. if I do something else before, and I can still like work it around. But the routine all in all is usually very, yeah, very similar. So this definitely, I would say, helps a lot when it comes to stress management. Yeah.
Yeah, I can also see the value in that. And one thing that in this podcast, the one with Brandon Kempter and Steve Hall mentioned, actually Brandon mentioned, yeah, he's a really chill guy, but you are a really chill guy. But he has also uh, modified his environment to be conducive to a more chill
On
life,
top of,
for example.
yes.
So there's really a lot of value in that, because you could say, well, I could still at this point be having this regular job like 9 to 5, and I could still do bodybuilding, and maybe I could have some clients on the side. But if that's not your goal of lifestyle, then you have to make some adjustments in order to move to a place where you're gonna be happier in a sense. So how did you make that transition? Because I know you were also you moved to Thailand, and I think there's a reason behind Thailand and maybe not other country. Besides training barefoot in the gym, I have a client who told to me he's working in a gym in Cancun, and he had like this really long job schedule, and he's on his feet all day, and he was saying to me, I just want to keep doing this and save money so I can go to Thailand as Dirk and train barefoot. That's my dream of life.
So cool. Yeah, like I would also say it's so much goal dependent when it comes to like creating an environment what serves bodybuilding. So like for context, like for me as like I see it as a full-time job, like being a pro athlete, all of that. I see it as a job. It's like part of work for me of like being a bodybuilder. So for me, I wouldn't recommend like someone who just want to lift and look good. They don't need to put like that much emphasis of like creating that environment to serve bodybuilding. Like for me, like everything is like that I can maximize my bodybuilding goals. So like it's very like context dependent, I would say in this way. And the move in Thailand played a major role with that because again, like environment plays a big role. And when I started online coaching full time back in 2022, yeah, I was like at this time living in Germany. It was right after COVID. And at this time, I was like living with my mom, and I could decide, should I get me an apartment in Germany or should I just move to Thailand? And I was here before with doing holidays, all of that. And like, I know I feel less stressed here because the environment is like the people are more chill and friendly here in a way. And you can like again, you can train barefoot at the gym. You can vlog. You like I couldn't do that in Germany. Like I can walk with my camera. People are like, hey, I want to be in the video. In Germany, it would be like, I don't want to be in your video. Can you take me out? And this is stressful in a way. And then on top of that, like I have like a 7-Eleven here, like 1 minute walk. I get all my groceries there. They have like fruit, vegetable, all of it. So I can just walk there. Like it's 24/7 opened. I can book like a Grab taxi bike for like $3 to the gym and back. It is here within 1 or 2 minutes. So I don't need to wait for a train, things like that. Saves me a lot of time. And that is like a major reason why I moved here because it's so convenient and like it's so stress-free. And then again, like the good weather, the culture here, the people, it gives me like good energy in a way. And this on top of everything like creates way less stress for me because in a way I can do whatever I want here. Like I don't need to worry if I film a video in the gym that someone is like annoyed that like I do videos and things like that. So yeah, like that is like a big part for sure why I moved here. Yeah.
I think you should try Mexico. Maybe
I
Playa
hear
del
good stuff
Carmen
about
or something
Mexico.
like that. Oh, sorry.
I hear good stuff about Mexico too. Like that
Yeah,
is quite similar, right? Like
depending on where do you want to go. Like for example, I live in Puebla, and it's a nice city. It's like really near to Mexico City, in the center of Mexico, but it's not as expensive as Mexico City. But if you come from Germany, I think even Mexico City is gonna be really really cheap
very
compared
cheap. I
to
hear that.
that.
Yeah.
But for example, well, people are Mexicans. We are known for being quite friendly, and
Yeah,
um,
like very warm.
love.
Same
I
like
can see you. Yeah, I can see you love, for example, variety in fruits and vegetables on your videos, so you could have like all kind of fruits in here, and yeah, there are also really nice gyms in which you can record without any problem. So yeah, maybe once you want to try out something different from Thailand, you would be very welcome here in Mexico.
I
And
gotta check that out. I was thinking about it for real. I was like if not Thailand, I was thinking about Bali or Mexico, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you come here sometime, maybe for vacation to have like a little trial, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely
that's important.
we can show you here. And well, Dirk, I would keep going on for hours. Well, I really want to be mindful of your time. I know you're, even if you look so fresh and energized, but yeah, I want to be mindful of your time and have you in another time during the year or after you're done with your prep. That would be amazing. So I just have one last two questions. So well, if you want to add anything else at the end, you can do it without problems. So first of all, how do you think natural bodybuilding and these uh, stress management strategies, as you talked about, mindfulness, meditation, can inspire or can help other people to adopt a healthier and more balanced lifestyle, as you have shown us to that you have done so. And the other question, we here at the podcast have this tradition of recommending one book. So if there's one book that you're currently reading or one that you have read prior that have an impact of you, and if it's not a book, maybe you can recommend us maybe a movie or a podcast episode, whatever piece of content you think, oh, this everyone should read
Yeah.
or have.
Okay, so the first question was again in regards to the stress management, like with meditation, like why or what exactly was
Uh,
it?
how do you think natural bodybuilding and
Yeah.
mindfulness can help people, not only athletes, but like
Okay.
general people to have a better life, basically?
I would say it helps a lot about like also your why you are doing it, like in a way of like intrinsic motivation. So with like mindfulness, meditation, all of that, we remove a lot of like that, like external reasons why you are doing it. Like especially bodybuilding is, it attracts a lot of like insecure people. If you have like mental struggles, things like, because you think, okay, bodybuilding will magically fix me. And with like mindfulness, all of those things, it can help a lot of like knowing you are doing it for like internal reasons, like not just because you want to have attention or like because you feel insecure. It is like a way of like, yeah, getting in touch with yourself, with your goals, like feeling good, all of that. So that is how it can help a lot. And then again, with the recovery side of things, I feel like, yeah, like you're just less stressed, and being less stressed means like your training goes better. And when your training goes better, you are even more, yeah, more motivated to keep on going. So, and also then like from the nutrition side of things, I think like, hey, like all of that can really help with like feeling like, okay, now I'm hungry. Okay, I'm accepting it. Like we have a better like, yeah, better touch. You are better in touch with your feelings in a way with that as well. So you can really like know of like, yeah, you don't get as panicked about, I feel. So that is like the main thing when it comes to that. So with books, what I'm currently reading, I can show you, is like this one. Like I'm really liking like Ryan Holiday. Like I got his new book, like White Thing Right Now, and I've been reading the it's like a Stoic series. I like reading books about Stoicism. And the other one was about discipline, other first one about courage, and the other one is about like integrity, like doing the right thing. And again, this can also translate it within bodybuilding, especially like stoicism. I read a lot about that. It's like that is how I also developed like my really pragmatic approach to bodybuilding, like not being emotional about the scale, all of that. And like books, like such books can help tremendously of like applying that to bodybuilding in a way. So yeah, that's the book I recommend. Like I really recommend the Wine Holiday, like the Stoicism series, the Daily Stoic. And he has also like a bunch of other books I highly recommend. I really enjoy reading those. And they're also not boring. It's like, can read like a chapter a day. It's like a few pages and it's very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are great recommendations. And I don't know if there's anything else that you'd like to add. When's your first show in 3 weeks, you said?
In
In
6 weeks in
Dubai?
Dubai in 6 weeks. Yeah, my first time ever in Dubai. I'm excited.
That's gonna be really really interesting. Are you gonna document that for your YouTube?
I want to film every single show for my YouTube this time. And it's the first, also that's one thing I also changed. Every prep I want to make something better, and this prep I want to document it more. So like recording, like documenting the every show, the pre-prep process and so on. I think this will be very like valuable for people as well, for like, yeah, me documenting that. So I'm excited for that as well. Yeah, to show like
I'm
all the
excited for that too because we need more natural bodybuilding shows in YouTube. I think I have seen like 10 times the one that you did this last year, that Wayne Carmona,
oh
Wayne Gay
yes.
recorded, and also the ones that Berto has on the Team 3DMJ channel,
Oh, so good.
in which he is analyzing like all the physiques and how the show goes. I think that would be really good for natural bodybuilding because not all people understand what goes into a show, like the judging and even the strategy that it can have, like for example with the posing, like knowing what are your strengths and how to showcase that, maybe depending on who else is on the show or what the criteria of the show is. So yeah, I think that would be really valuable, and thank you so much for doing that. So yeah, Dirk, it went super fast for me. I hope it was the same for you. I hope you enjoy it, and thank you again for being here, for being so nice, so open, and I wish you well. We both wish you all the best, and we will be there supporting via Instagram, YouTube,
So
um,
much.
and yeah, spreading the good word about bodybuilding that you do as well, natural bodybuilding especially.
Thank you so much for having me on. It was a very, very nice chat. And yeah, and then in the future, I can definitely do another episode after my season, recapping it in a way. So, and seeing what I have learned this season, this time. Yeah.
That would be amazing. Well, thank you so much, Dirk. Hope you
Thank
have
you.
a great Sunday, and we'll keep in touch.
Will do. All right. See you. Bye bye.